Welcome everybody to BizzTalk Africa. Today I'm your host, Fidi Mike, and I have Shadrach as my guest speaker with me. Unfortunately, we don't have Jason this time. We miss you, Jason, but nonetheless, we're gonna have a lot of fun. Our guest today is Roselyne, and Roselyne, I would love to hear a little bit about you. And sort of what you're doing. And then Shadrach and we'll have a little bit of an informal conversation and talk and dive a little bit deeper into what you're doing and the impact.
All right. Thank you so much for this awesome opportunity. It's my pleasure to connect. My name is Roselyne Wanjiru. I'm currently the Director of Growth, User Acquisitions at Bizz. Bizz is a remittance solution that's built on the Celo blockchain, and its key vision is to connect Africa financially. By using blockchain technology, we've actually solved the problem of reducing both cost and time to make payments seamless and efficient on that regard. So I invite everyone who's listening to actually test out our solution and be part of this as we look to connect Africa financially. So I'm happy to be part of today's discussion and delighted to be here.
Fantastic. So how long have you guys been operating? Are you now live?
Yes, Bizz is live. So, well, my experience as an economist in the blockchain space started off in 2017. I was curious about, the future of economy in a context of data, and I felt that there were so many gaps in terms of, data actually being used to make economic decisions. As a use case in Kenya, then I'd observed how M-Pesa had transformed banking so rapidly that people were no longer going to, banks to actually make payments like bills, utilities, and basic transactions. So I thought about how that would impact actually the future of the, just economics in general and at large. And that's how I got to learn about concerns with cybersecurity, data security, and now ultimately blockchain technology. So that's how my deep dive into the industry came about.
Right. So this is M-Pesa 2.0, right? Because now you're taking mobile payments and actually putting security and transparency around it.
Actually, yes. Because, for, I think for Kenya, the benefit is that the experience and the learning curve on mobile payments is going to make it very easy for people to adopt crypto. So not that that's a solid assumption or that I can put it that way as a law, but it's advantageous that people have had that experience in making, online and cashless payments.
Right. And Shadrach, this is so close to what we had discussed not too long ago when you were a guest.
Yes, indeed. And talking about that, Roselyne mentioned quite a packed statement that perhaps for the audiences and our benefit, she can unpack it further because it sounds quite exciting. The catchphrase, connecting Africa financially, that seems to be your heartbeat. Do you want to maybe unpack that for us and the audiences?
Yes, so I understand that connecting Africa financially will resonate differently with different audiences. So for example, someone who is in banking, their vision is actually to make sure that, their customers and their citizens in their jurisdiction have more banking services, more bank accounts, and more, bank-related services that will make their experience in moving money seamless. To someone who is not in the banking space, they would wonder then, how do I get income? Because for someone who then is not even earning any income to begin with, then what money are they moving? How are they connected financially, right? And this is where remittances come in so critically, because we have hundreds of millions of people who rely on remittances for income. And this income goes directly to taking care of food, taking care of education and healthcare, very basic needs, right? So connecting Africa financially steps into these different, at least these two rails, because, or rather, let me say three, in the sense that we have banking services as a gateway, but we also need income and remittance to actually power different needs within the society. So Bizz comes in then, for instance, in the space of remittance, that we are actually enabling people then to send money at low cost and in less than 20 seconds.
Right. Wow. So for the long lines that I see outside Western Union, that's gonna go away, right? Because
Absolutely.
remittances
And
are gonna, right? Interesting.
yes, actually, and it's not that we are assuming or presuming that our solution is the best. Yes, we believe in our vision. We do stand upon that which we have sought to fulfill, and this is a dream of every business or company that's in existence to serve our society. So, as at this point in time, not to sound that I am either boasting or or arrogant. It's that I respect the process and the context in which we're operating, that we are here to offer a solution. We invite people to take part in our services, right? But it's recognizing that we are working together with a whole ecosystem of financial service providers. We're working with a full-on ecosystem of microfinance, banking, fintech, blockchain startups, and people who will actually be the ones connecting and serving their communities. So we are not the heroes here. It's the people who are the heroes. We are here to serve the people.
I
And
like
that's the
that.
future of fintech. Yeah, it's the future of finance, that it's not just about the institutions, but the people who actually need the services. Because when we talk about financial inclusion, for example, this again is a very loaded concept, in the sense that what are we including people into? What are we bringing people into? When we talk about access to financial services, when especially a lot of young people within the different economic contexts lack income, because after graduating from let's say learning institutions, and it takes so long for them to get well-paying jobs, then how do they sustain their economic activities, right? And when you think about identity, with so many people lacking the basic identity documentation and services, then how do we also bring that on board? When we talk about even digital exclusion, I know I'm painting really broad strokes right here,
No,
but
no, please do, please do. This is
so
reality.
I've come to yeah, this is reality. I mean, we can't just talk about financial inclusion as just getting more people bank accounts. No, it does.
What
It
does it
cannot
mean, right?
just. Yeah, what does it mean? So I break it down to actually highlight that we do need to address governance and policy systems for data, first of all, for identity and income, so that we are looking at a holistic society in this.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
so easy to use broad brush words like AML and KYC, but like at what are those degrees? Because what you just outlined there is that they're buckets, right? And just because somebody doesn't fill a bucket doesn't mean you exclude them. It's like, how do you actually understand the economic circumstances so that you could provide a service to fit various needs?
Yeah. Absolutely, that's it. And as long as we're thinking about the people, it's that we're able to respond to their needs, because it doesn't make sense for a fintech company to come up with a solution and not have the community in mind, right? So if for instance, I'm taking my product to market, and my community does not even have smartphones, then does that mean I'm out of business? It's just that I need to be able to serve them in the structures and in the language that they're comfortable with, that they're used to, without having to exclude them, just as you mentioned,
Yes, and you mentioned earlier on the innovation ecosystem, that you have a built-in respect, appreciation, and a codependency on that ecosystem. That brings to mind the regulatory landscape on a global spectrum. How do you feel that blockchain, and to an extent crypto, is kind of like maybe not colliding, but coming face to face with the regulatory landscape, and also within the African context? How do you see that panning out?
All right, for the first or the last 5 or 10 years, we've seen more governments tend to ban or prohibit the use of cryptocurrencies in their countries, right? But within the next, I say 5 to 10 years, I'll put across a positive expectation. First, that more people are going to understand the value of cryptocurrencies. Well, for many of them, which are volatile and arguably utility currencies, they will not be used for payments, because, well, the volatility will affect price and it won't be as favorable for use, right? But when we talk about stable coins and more I would say, yeah, stable utilities for use in that sense, more people could actually consider using that, because I don't want to pay $100, for instance, for a product that I could have paid $80. It's simply because this cryptocurrency's price just shot up in such a short time, right? And it comes back to that I want to pay, if it's $80, it's $80 I want to pay. If it's $8,000, I want to pay $8,000, not more and not less. So within this context is that the first, the first ground zero is literally that education and just understanding usability of these currencies. Second is in regard to especially what El Salvador has set out as a precedent for so many countries, that yes, Bitcoin is actually legal tender right there. But will other countries be as positive? Probably yes, and some will not, no matter how successful El Salvador's use case will be. Now, in that sense, regulators will need, for instance, more data before they can actually bring in more equitable policies. Because let me use, for instance, Kenya as an example. Now, we have, let's say, okay, we don't have up to 30, or we don't have up to 20% of the population using cryptocurrencies daily for either payments or speculation. So for arguably cryptocurrency, which is not contributing to 10% of the GDP and is not being used by 10% of the population, then how can a regulator actually now form these policies? So over time, more people will actually just have to slowly come on board. Businesses, private sector, because that's the fastest on/off ramp for transactions and that kind of data. Then in understanding then the systems and the interactions, the processes, then regulators will be able to support that, because in this case, innovation has gone far ahead of regulation.
Absolutely. And I think in addition to that, I think what you'd see is that governments will more and more release their digital currencies as CBDC models come online. So, I mean, the cryptocurrency is a mechanism for associating, a value to a particular service or product, as you rightly said, Roselyne. And I think like the volatility is, it's something that's going to not be the right choice for a lot of citizens. So as more and more CBDC models come on and digital currencies come on, yes, crypto or digital currency, I rather call them, is the future. But I think the regulators and as the governments catch up, I think we will see less one-off cryptocurrency and more consolidated. So actually, like the platform that you have, Roselyne, and more platforms that are payment driven, but actually starts to embrace both fiat and cryptocurrency. That's the future.
Yeah, definitely.
Great topic. So how are you getting more young people involved in what you're doing? I mean, so like when you look at the adoption, is there a pointed view that certain types of the community adopted faster than others? Have you seen that? What's been the consumer reaction?
Well, absolutely. For young people, they're adopting it as an alternative form of income, because if I know that without requiring like hundreds of thousands of dollars to get into the market, I can make some decent gain, 20% here, 30% there, 5% here, 14% there on a digital currency, then nothing stops me from experimenting with $50, $100, something that I can ask from my parent, right?
So
if,
that's a trading aspect, right? Making money from trading crypto.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And yes, this is not to say that anyone and everyone can trade, but there tends to be that favorable chance that you don't require too much capital. Yes, your requirement will be more in time, investing the time to learn, because, how do you identify that digital asset that will give you the 20%? And this 20%, is it over a month? Is it in a week? Is it over a year? Because all these are things that someone will come to learn in terms of research. So it's not something that everyone should just jump into blindly, but with the right research, because at this point in time, we are aware of scams which have badly dented the reputation of cryptocurrencies. So in order to just, be on the safer side of investment and handling funds and finances, really, it's that due diligence first, then investments, because the opportunities are there. So yes, young people are taking it up, but even the elderly are taking it up at their own pace. So it's not everyone will be trading constantly all day long, every day, so frequently, high volumes. You can trade at your own pace once you understand, the strategies that work well for you.
Talking about young people, you would notice, Roselyne, sometimes I wait for Vidya to ask all the exciting questions, and I kind of like piggyback on those, because she's not only a solutionist by wiring and by trade, but she's also quite well traveled on the continent of Africa. So at BizzTalk, sometimes we tend to look at Africa through her lenses. So linking up to her question, how do you see young people either being left out or being allowed to participate in the co-creation of the cryptocurrency or blockchain favorable policies? Do you sense that young people are being left on the edges, or are they being included or involved, particularly when it comes to inclusion as in general? What do you see from your desk?
All right, from my journey, I can't speak in absolutes, first of all, because not all young people are on, being left out. Some are actually spearheading through their own initiatives, first to educate and second to collaborate with governments and policymakers. However, there are those who are in it for purely the speculation. So in that sense, they are being left out because, if they just trade and make their payments and, cash out, then that's all that they're going to do in the space. Because of the three leading countries, for instance, Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, and perhaps Egypt, when we talk about volumes, very, very high volumes in Bitcoin trades in Africa, it's that, yes, we are seeing on one hand the government being cautionary, but on the other hand, the volumes and trades are still going on. So there's a negative sentiment in the sense that some young people feel that they should not even do anything about, getting government involved in the first place, because they feel it's a lost battle, that crypto is here anyway, so why should we involve government? Those are some of the questions that are there. But on the other hand, there are those who are coming up with papers, coming up with research, coming up with policy recommendations, which, even if they're not implemented immediately, will be in the public record for adoption in the future. So my encouragement is that for those, especially in the legal space and working on, virtual currency policy guidelines, yes, do it now. It's just a matter of time before policymakers respond, because Ghana is leading the way, for instance. That's why you can see quite some positive sentiment, especially on that side. So for now, if you are in the regulatory space, just be open at least to collaboration, not just banning all this.
That's a great answer. Now, if I just shift our conversation a little bit, right? What do you say? What is your vision for your business? And ultimately, what would you like to see the African landscape going to be, and how it interacts with the rest of the world? And that question would be for you as well, Shadrach, because I think, like, for the stuff that you guys are doing, this whole talk, this BizzTalk Africa, is about bringing Africa, businesses, companies, governments, institutions together with everybody else, with the rest of the world. So we're giving people a view of what's happening within Africa, because you know what? The news does not actually tell you what's what.
Yeah.
You are seeing a picture, but having chats like this give us the real vision of where Africa is headed. So what do you see for your business, and where do you see Africa?
All right. So within my business, I'm going to tell it in a bit of a story. So let me say my name is not Roselyne for now, but Jane. So as Jane, a young aspiring fashion artist or fashionpreneur, I want to be able to sell my Ankara fabrics, not only in Kenya, but also in Juba and Kampala as two neighboring cities. I want to be able to grow my business across the African continent by just starting with those two countries. So I want to fly with Juba, pay through my Pesabis wallet. I want to put my art up in Johannesburg. I want to put my art up in Accra and have people paying for access to my art platform on Pesabase wallet because it will be available there. And this is as simple as it gets. I want to be able to go to the movies and pay through my Pesabase wallet. And this is underway. This is happening. It's just that I don't just want to say connecting Africa financially. I have put it in these four respects. I'm in fashion, I'm in art, I am in entertainment space. I'm definitely making payments and I want to accept payments. And I want to be able to do this through my wallet. So it's that practical that I don't just want to put broad financial terms there. Whether I'm paying for my coffee, my ice cream, my my fabrics, my art pieces, all this should be possible right from the comfort of my phone.
I like that because we have the the African Trade Agreement, right, which is trying to connect trade in a seamless manner. But actually, you still have different currencies everywhere. You still have different rules and regulations. What you're saying is let's make that settlement seamless.
Exactly.
And let's trade like without having barriers.
Exactly.
That's beautifully put.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's that we have the free trade agreement in place. Yes, it has been signed, it's been ratified by 54, 55 countries, and this makes Africa literally the largest free trade area, right? But if I just look at this as impersonal trade, it will not make as much impact as if I want to be able to grow as a young person and take my business to another country without worrying about being able to convert, exchange one currency,
absolutely,
set up different wallets, have like different SIM cards to make the calls. No, I want to be able just to use one wallet, make my transactions, get my money, live comfortably. That's it.
Wow.
We will write this sentence down as one of the epic visions for Africa. I love it. Shadrach, same question to you before we go on to the other bit.
Fantastic. Africa's heritage and historical standing has been that for hundreds of years, we have been driving our economies and driving our revenues based on the back of the other revolutions, which includes the extractive industry. So the prior revolution has actually seen Africa being the go-to for majority mineral deposits. Now, while that might not seem linked to the digital revolution that we are seeing now and to blockchain, let me link it for the benefit of the audiences. If you look at our infrastructure in the context of our logistical infrastructure that exists now in the context of Uganda, linking to Kenya, linking to Ghana, linking to South Africa, linking to Morocco. If you look at our infrastructure, 99% of our solid macro infrastructure are actually roads and rail that are connecting from the produce base, from the mines straight to the port of exit. And now that's an incorrect way to build a sustainable economy, meaning every produce that you harvest, it goes out of the country. All your mineral deposits, they're actually going to the closest port of exit. For our government leaders and private sector visionaries like Roselyne and also large-scale corporates that make up 1% of Africa, we are going to need a different thinking. We are going to need to, even while the infrastructure is catching up, we're going to look at that intra-Africa trade, not just on paper, but we're going to have to invest as the African Development Bank is already plowing billions. So we need a shift in mindset. We need a shift in the infrastructure mechanisms. And of course, we need a blockchain and cryptocurrency to enable us to actually run sustainable and self-sustaining ecosystems and just to lower the borders so that the SDG focus that sees us lowering the payments, the remittances, lowering them to 3%. At the least.
At least.
That is
At the most,
absolutely.
actually. No, it should be lower than that.
No, it should be lower than that because I was actually looking at my Saturday counter. We are not that far from 2030, which is where the SDG 2030 has put it. We are only, as of this recording and as of this sitting, we are only 444 Saturdays away from the 1st of January 2030. So the likes of, what do you call it? The likes of Roselyne, no pressure. We need those payments lowered like yesterday. We need that co-creation between startups and government and between the youth and the elderly so that we are one tribe, so that we move in the same direction. That's the African want.
Yeah, so we're at 1%.
The second
we're at 1%
thing
already. Yeah.
The one tribe. So we have what Roselyne said, and the second one is Shadrach, one tribe. Very good. Go ahead, Roselyne. I just want to make sure we have those two epic statements on the show. Fantastic.
Right, so
this is great.
Yeah, so one tribe, we're already at 1%.
Well, we need to sort of move that up, right? And I think what we'll do, and this has been such a great session, Roselyne, we're about to close. I'm going to give you a few minutes to sort of make your closing remarks and stuff like that. But I feel like there's a second show here. And I feel like we want to bring in other participants like Shadrach, like other people we spoke to, because the synergies, the drive and the energy that I am feeling from this call is immense. It's beautiful. So Roselyne, if you could just give us a little bit of a summary about, what are your parting comments for everybody? And, again, we'd love to have you back.
Definitely.
Thank you so much. It will be my pleasure and my delight to, be part of this conversation, simply because, as Shadrach did call for that, it's that this shift in mindset will come when we listen to each other. We realize, wait, we're working toward the same thing. We can't work anymore in silos. We can't work anymore separated, distributed, thinking that I'm the best, he's the best, or oops, he's my competitor. No, we actually need to find those synergies that will allow us to create more and actually shift away from the extractive model of economy to the creative model of economy. We've spoken a lot about financial inclusion and all these great themes. But now what I'll encourage, especially everyone listening to, this session now and beyond, is that we are having probably the greatest change in industry underway. And one of these shifts is to the creative economy. So you and I are creators. You and I are distributors. We are not just consumers, we are creators. Now, the question is, who are you creating for? If I'm creating for myself, well, that's as far as it can go. But if I'm creating for my community, then that's where the skill comes in. We may not be able to appreciate payments, remittances, if we don't see community. So I will encourage you, what does your community need? Don't feel that you are insignificant. You probably have something that someone else needs. And even if it's not your immediate community, it might be a community that's not too far away. So do not fear to be the one to step out. Take your little step, and we will be there to support you. And I guess we will collaborate as time and opportunity allow. So thank you so much for listening in. Let's keep this going.
And as a final part from my side, today on BizzTalk, we have just, I think, coined our own symbol, one tribe. So when we meet, it's one tribe. All right.
There you go.
Thank you, everybody, for this week's BizzTalk. And Roselyne, so good to have you. We love this conversation. Sarah, thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.
Tune in next time to BizzTalk.
Brilliant. Thank you.